Well, this is a Honda CB1100, which I think was first introduced about 6 years ago, and it was intended to emulate the iconic CB750 Honda of the early 70s.
So this is Kim. Kim was on our team on the Malle Rally, so he was an absolute legend on the rally and was a very steady rider throughout, obviously very, very experienced. I just Googled what he said about the old CB750, and I just looked at the price of a good condition CB750 was about 20 to 25k last year, which is an obscene amount of money for a bike. But his bike now is around the sort of 10k price point, but I think apparently, in accordance to my research, Honda's 1969 CB750 deserved credit as one of the first titled ever superbikes. And the 2009 edition of the CB came out as the 50th year anniversary. And I think that his version is a little bit later than that, but we'll go through a couple of the editions as well. But it was widely agreed that the CB750 was the first ever superbike. That was amongst press and journalists. And it was one of the first, if not the first, production bike to use disc brakes as well. At first they had modest plans to sell the CB750 at around 1,500 units a year, and then they quickly had to ramp that up and lost out pace with demand because they started selling 3,000 units a month. Anyway, back to Kim.
Which I remember as having a gold tank, 4 exhausts, and being way out of my reach, and something that was far too scary to get on anyway, because it was far too powerful. And anyway, as you get older, you get more stupid. Those concerns have been cast aside, and I got this on a whim. I got it not with any particular purpose in mind. It was not for touring, and guess what I'm doing? Touring.
Yeah.
And it's not for luggage, and guess what I got on the back? Luggage, although it's weighed down by the 40 kilogram gloves.
Wet gloves.
The bike is a 1140cc 4-cylinder air-cooled. Hence the very sexy looking fins there. It doesn't look bad in black. It is a very smooth, very flattering bike because you can basically screw up all your gear exchanges and get the revs completely wrong, and it forgives you over and over again.
And why is that? Is that just because
it just has a great, it's a lovely piece of engineering. Like I say, the gearbox is pretty slick, and compared with the agricultural gearbox of my BMW R, it is a pleasure. So I'm very happy to be here. I got it second hand. It was actually 3 months old. I went to the chappie and said, "Why are you selling it?" 3 months old, thinking there was some horrible crash that he'd had. And he said, "No, I'm basically too fat."
Okay.
It has a payload of only 160 something kilos.
Okay.
I'm half of that, so I'm okay. And I never take anybody on the back because I'm too mean.
And what's the weight of the actual bike?
The bike is actually quite heavy. It's about a 260 kilos dry.
Yeah.
So, although it doesn't feel like it.
So it's got a lovely classic look about it for a modern bike.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's semi-retro, although it cheats a bit in that obviously it's got fake-looking carburetors.
Yeah.
They're really fuel injection. It's got cast wheels, which are not pretending to be spoke wheels. I think, to be honest, that there were certain compromises that I wasn't prepared to make, and that was one of them. But it's pretty, and when it's cleaned up, which is not. And black is a lovely colour, but it's only a lovely colour when it's clean. It looks okay.
But it's almost the perfect bike for this sort of touring because you get all the mod cons, but the retro look, and a bike that can do all weathers as well.
And I love being a cheat.
Yeah, good stuff. Did you think about panniers as well? I was looking at the bike yesterday thinking panniers would quite suit it, so retro panniers for this sort of event.
It might do. I thought about a rack. It has a chrome rack that you can get from Gibby, which is about 190 quid, which sits on the back here, and I thought that it may be necessary to have that in order to get the bag on. So what I did before I came was I packed the bag with a load of fake luggage, stuck it on, and decided it was reasonably stable.
Yeah,
so,
it's looked pretty stable all week, to be honest.
Yeah, it droops a bit depending on whether he puts his dirty socks in one side or another.
Good stuff. Oh, thank you very much indeed.
Welcome.
I think the CB750, while it inspired a whole new generation of riders and really dominated the 70s, I think it lost its pace in the 80s, although it was still in production, to a different style of bikes and more specialised motorbikes, sports bikes, laid-back cruisers, and well-equipped tourers that took away other riders to other types of bike and away from the standard style of motorbike. So Kim's CB1100 pays clear homage to the CB750, and it was one of those bikes that just glided through the whole Malle Rally with no problems whatsoever. Very, very fast when it needed to be, very, very steady at slow speeds, and Kim was very comfortable for the whole trip. And what was great about that bike, it was very, very understated and perfect for the Malle Rally because of the sort of retro looks but modern technology. So I think Kim got the best of all worlds as well on that. So he kept that quiet. I think he had a great trip, and he was a great teammate as well.